Ladies and gentlemen, these guys have been touring continuously for the last 2 months across 2 continents. Please say hello to Deke Dickerson and the Ecco-fonics.
The last 5 years, I've averaged about 225 shows a year. It's not difficult to form a little niche, you know, and play to small groups of people. It's very hard to take it to the mainstream.
Bartender, I'll have another shot of whiskey. Baby, I just want to rock with you, and I'll wear out the soles of my shoes.
Music like rockabilly, it's so, you know, people in the press make fun of it. You know, they think it's a joke. And a lot of people think that you're trying to be some sort of retro flashback, nostalgia, golden oldies type artist. And so they won't give you the time of day. But, you know, there are some people, obviously, that have been able to do it. Reverend Horton Heat and Brian Setzer and people like that. So I'm somewhere in the middle. You know, I've been doing it for a while, and I've got a good following. But it's very difficult to take it to that next level. And I remember being on the bus with all the kids, and every one of them was singing Rhinestone Cowboy, like a sing-along. And I sat there, and I can't remember how old I must have been at the time. I mean, you know, first grade or kindergarten or something. And I remember sitting there just thinking, this sucks. This music sucks. And then I remember when, you know, Happy Days and American Graffiti and all that stuff came around. It was just, I was a little kid, but I just instantly liked it. So I don't think I had a choice in the matter. It just picked me. I remember seeing Chuck Berry on TV. And I think he might have even been on Sha Na Na or one of those television programs. And I remember seeing him with that guitar doing the duck walk thing and just immediately saying, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I need to get a guitar as soon as possible because that's what I want to do. And sure enough, you know, for my 13th birthday, I got an electric guitar. I was 13 years old, and it was the worst rockabilly band that the world has ever known.
What was the name of the band?
If you really need to know the name of the band, it was called the Rockin' Tail Fins. But that was back in the 80s, so, you know, and I was 13, 15 years old, so. After the Rockin' Tail Fins, I did the Untamed Youth. The Untamed Youth moved to California in 1991 to make it big. We obviously broke up shortly thereafter. And I formed a band called the Dave and Deke Combo, which was around for about 5 or 6 years. And, you know, we had a ball back then because the LA scene was a lot of fun with bands like Big Sandy and the Fly Right Trio and Russell Scott and the Red Hots. It was a really fun time out there in California. And so that was really when I feel like I started playing rockabilly for real, because the Rockin' Tail Fins was such a, you know, horrible band. But after that band broke up in '96, then I formed the band that I have today, which is Deke Dickerson and the Ecco-fonics.
Now, the bad news is that we have to fly back to Los Angeles at 8 in the morning tomorrow. The good news is we might not come home at all. We're going out tomorrow night. The boys and I will get and fight. We are gonna have a ball. We might not come home at all. Hey mama, I don't wanna cause a fuss. Go ahead and go to bed. Don't wait up the mama, hey mama, but I can't wait for a night to fall. Don't you worry if I'm not here, 'cause I might not come home at all.
I like to think of it as just American music, you know, just to borrow that phrase from the Blasters. And we do a lot of rockabilly stuff, but we also do a lot of hillbilly, rhythm and blues, surf stuff, Roy Orbison ballads, whatever I feel like doing at the moment. If you think about the broad appeal that Johnny Cash has, I think rockabilly has that same sort of appeal. You know, in the space of a couple of weeks, we might be playing to a bunch of elderly people, we might be playing to a bunch of punk rockers, we might be playing to a bunch of bikers, college kids, you know, just every cross-section of society you could imagine, including the hardcore rockabilly people that dress up in the vintage clothes and that sort of thing.
Don't wait up Mama, hey mama, well I can't wait for night to fall. Don't you worry if I'm not here, 'cause I might not come home at all.
It's hard to put your finger on what it is about this music and this culture and this lifestyle, but there's something about it that just attracts people to it. And I think a lot of it is the simplicity. You know, I don't think a lot of it is the wanting to return to a more innocent era. It's not that. It's just that when you hear music like Elvis or Gene Vincent or Johnny Cash, it's very basic. It hits you right in the gut. You don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to understand it. And so I think if you're a young kid and you're kind of searching around trying to find out what you're into and you hear that music, it draws you in. I've been fortunate enough to go to Australia, to Japan, to Europe, to America, to Mexico, and there's people that are into it all over the world, and they're into the exact same things. It's just, they dig the clothes, they dig the cars, they dig the music, and I can't think of any other music that you would see somebody in, let's say, Switzerland listening to, and then somebody in Japan listening to, and somebody in Australia listening to at the same exact time. So there's something really special about rockabilly music. You know, it's funny because, you know, the whole swing thing became very mainstream. It was on the cover of People magazine and on every Taco Bell commercial, and everybody kept saying, oh, rockabilly is going to be the next swing. But, you know, I don't think it's going to happen, because swing is a sort of music that people can go out and buy nice clothes and expensive cigars and sit and drink martinis, and it's very sort of, you know, upper class sort of a thing. But let's face it, you know, rockabilly is a music that was made by Southern guys that drove around with cars that had really bad exhaust leaks, and it made them crazy. And I don't see that translating to a mainstream audience. But, you know, aside from that, it is much bigger today than it ever was in the 50s. And it just won't die. That's the amazing thing that I see about rockabilly, is that there's this cult of people that refuse to let it die.
But tomorrow I won't forget to pray. Tonight I dance away all my blues, and I wear out the soles of my shoes. I'm gonna get up the nerve. One of these days I'm gonna get up the nerve. I can handle all that woman can serve. My angles were just made for her curves. Well, my red